What do Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general, the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, fantasy football enthusiast. So in keeping with what I've been doing for the last few videos, I'm going to continue talking about wide receiver rankings. Now, we're talking about fantasy rankings. This has no implication on how talented these guys actually are in real life or what they mean to their team. But we talked about the NFC and the AFC South last time, and again, I'm not just going straight through on the rankings here because that would just take all day and the video would be entirely too long. But I'm going to break this down today for the NFC and AFC East. You can go back and check out my video from the South. I will link that in the at the end of the video. But otherwise, let's jump right in here and talk about our rankings, ADP, all that for the NFC and AFC East. So one of the top guys out of here is coming out of the AFC East with Stephon Diggs out of Buffalo. He is going with an ADP of 1.09, meaning you're getting him at the back end of the first round. I definitely think he's worth it, but again, I always value running backs in the first round if you are in a position to take them, but I'd rather take the most talented player available in all situations for about the first 4 rounds overall. But you got a lot of guys here that fall in the first, I would say, 5 rounds that are worthwhile talking about, and really into the 6th round as well. Really 10 guys in total here that I think are worth talking about. CeeDee Lamb is number 2 on this list. He's going at round 2, pick 1, so right there at the turn of the first into the second. Another guy that I think is going to have a great year with Amari Cooper gone. He already had an amazing season last year with Dak Prescott throwing to him. If he can stay healthy this year, he should be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL just because they've got a high-flying offense, and I think he's going to be really good this year. He's, again, 2.01. Tyreek Hill is a guy that I think is going to be sneaky here. He still, I think, is going to put up almost, if not as much, yardage and receptions as he did in Kansas City with Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. So he's going at pick 209 overall. So a guy that I am really, really high on. I think if you are looking for a wide receiver in the middle of the second and you just need somebody, I would probably take him unless CeeDee Lamb or a couple other guys are there. But definitely somebody I'm super interested in. Next pick is A.J. Brown at Philadelphia, number 4. He is going at pick round 301. So a guy right there, end of second, beginning of the third. Had a down year last year, but again, I think he's getting an upgraded quarterback. He's in a better situation overall, and I think he's going to have an amazing season with Jalen Hurts up there. Should help elevate Jalen Hurts' play as well, especially on the deep ball. So I look for him to have a bounce-back season, definitely over 1,000 yards, and probably somewhere 8+ touchdowns with, I anticipate, at least 140, 150 targets, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to 100 receptions. We'll see what happens with it. I just like him there. The next one, this is where we get a little bit interesting. I actually like scary Terry McLaurin here. Last year, with poor quarterbacks, Terry was anticipated to go as the wide receiver 10 off the board. He's moved back to about wide receiver 18 now, and he has, even though Carson Wentz is not great, he is better than Taylor Heineke. So I do like Terry McLaurin here. I think his talent is just so transcendent that you can't avoid him here. He is going at the back end of the 4th round. I think if you can get him sooner than that, you should. He's a guy that I would take over a large number of players that are going in that same range just by talent alone. He's a guy that will be a home run pick, or you're either going to get an out or you're going to go home run with him. You're not going to find anywhere in between. I think he's going to go home run this year. Number 6, Jalen Waddle. He's going at the back end of the 3rd round, beginning of the 4th. Guy who's going to be super consistent for those short routes in Miami. So I like him again this season. Had about 100 receptions last year. I think he's going to do something similar this year. Then we start getting into some more questionable guys, but again, guys that are still going in the top 6 rounds here. Elijah Moore. Somebody has to be the top wide receiver in the New Jersey Jets offense. I think it's going to be him, followed closely by Garrett Wilson, who I think is a little bit further back than he actually should be. But Elijah Moore had a decent season last year as a rookie, and I think he's going to be better this year. He's going at round 6, pick 07 overall. Then you have Devonta Smith, Philadelphia. Would be probably a little bit higher if he was the number 1 guy. But with the addition of A.J. Brown, he'll fall into a secondary role, which actually may suit him. He's a little undersized, and he'll be able to play more in the slot. So I think he's going to have a really, really good year. He's going at pick 10 overall. So I like him a little bit better than that if you can get him. But definitely a guy you could wait on just a little bit if you're kind of picking in the at the back end of the fifth, early part of the sixth. You could probably get him in the sixth round, no problem. Michael Gallup is a guy that it just totally depends on his health. I love him if he stays healthy. I think he is, top 10. I have him at 9 right now, but I think he's top 10 in that offense if he stays healthy. Problem being, he hasn't stayed healthy a single season in the NFL, so this would be an anomaly if he does. Right now, he's going in round 10, pick 7, so he's the only guy that I have kind of being picked way, way back that I think has talent to be a lot better and should be drafted higher. Gabriel Davis is a guy that I think is the opposite. He had a great end of the season last year, but if you look at his fantasy numbers for the entire year, they weren't great. He's going to be the number 2 guy in a high-flying Buffalo offense. But again, I don't know what you're going to get out of him. He had a game with 4 touchdowns last year in the postseason. I don't think that's gonna be it this year. He is going round 5, pick 3. I definitely think that's too high for him. I think he should be going in the 7th or 8th round. But because of where he's going, I have to put him in kind of that top 10 range. Now, the next guys, 11 through 19. These are all middle picks that should not really be starters on a weekly basis, but you could get some home run potential, and they might elevate themselves into the top 24. So it would be your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 at some point in the season. DeVante Parker, number 1 receiver in New England. If he was still in Miami, I'd have him a little higher here just because I like Miami's offense better. But they traded him, and it is what it is. He's going round 12, pick 2. Mac Jones has to throw the ball to somebody, and he is going to be the best target for him. He's going to be a red zone target because of his size and his frame. He's definitely somebody that should be going ahead of round 12, and you can definitely get him late in drafts. So he is a high priority target in the 10th, 11th, 12th round to me. The next one, Garrett Wilson, going pick 907 overall. I like him as a 7th or 8th round guy in the New Jersey Jets offense, but again, he's a rookie. He has a lot to prove, and we still don't know if Zach Wilson is going to be, if he's going to be good this year or not. I think he has all the tools to be successful, and there was a reason that he was taken 2nd overall last year. So we'll see what happens with the Jets offense. Here is probably one of my more controversial picks. Number 13, your first Giants wide receiver, Kenny Golladay. Terrible, terrible season. Marred by injury and no touchdowns, and just overpaid for what he did last year. He was phenomenal in Detroit. He has the potential to be phenomenal again. He's going in the 11th round. I think he's going to be better this year in a contract year for Daniel Jones, but we'll see what happens. The next guy, number 14, Jacoby Myers. He's going around 12, pick 4. I think he's a guy that should be taken in the 9th or 10th round, but again, it just depends on what they do. Mac Jones got to throw the ball to somebody, so we'll see what happens there. Jameson Crowder was with the New Jersey Jets last year, or thinking he was anyway. At least that's where he made a name for himself. Now he is with Buffalo as the 3rd option on that team at the receiver, if you don't count Dawson Knox. He's going to play slot. There's going to be a lot of guys watching Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs after the performances they put up last year. He has the potential to be a home run, 15 to 20 point PPR guy any given week this year. So I like him as a dark horse, but I like where he's going in the 11th round, pick 10 overall as well. Curtis Samuel, he was hurt last year. He's my 16th pick overall. He is going in round 15, so basically back into the draft. You can just take him as a flyer if you want to. Washington, again, they're going to be playing from behind a lot, so Terry McLaurin, they're going to have a lot of garbage time production. Probably not going to be active in the first 3 quarters of the game, and then they're going to find some ways to find the end zone or get a lot of yardage at the end. On the same note, number 17, Jahan Dotson, their rookie that they took pick 16 overall. He's going at 12.08 overall, so he's going a little ahead of Curtis Samuel. I just don't know what we're getting with him, and I don't know how he's going to fit in that offense. He's a guy I like a lot better in Dynasty than I do in a redraft league. There's a guy that I like pretty well overall, though, here for both redraft and for Dynasty, and Jalen Tolbert going pick 12 overall. Again, if Michael Gallup goes down with injury at Dallas, he's going to be the wide receiver too, and he's going to have a lot of production. So a guy that I think you can get kind of later in your drafts and has a high upside overall. Corey Davis, New Jersey Jets, had some flashes last year. And again, he had a really good last year with Tennessee, mediocre year after he got paid by the Jets. And again, Zach Wilson could make a big step forward. And if he does, then Corey Davis has a lot of upside. But again, he's very inconsistent, and he's not somebody that I would plan to play on a week-by-week basis. He is definitely situational, somebody that you may want to play more in daily fantasy as a flyer in a good week, but not somebody that you can count on week to week, but probably going to be drafted by a lot of teams. May end up as a free agent, just kind of on the back end there. Again, he's going pick 13, number 11 overall. Literally everybody else on the list, with the exception of one guy, is going to be guys that should be on the free agent list. You should not draft any of these guys. But, 20 through 27, I'll just read them off real quick. Cedric Wilson out of Miami has a pretty high upside, but, again, he's the third or fourth receiver or receiving option in the Miami offense. Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson, New York Giants, I have no idea. I don't really like their offense this year, but they're going to be as good as they, or have the potential to be as good as they've ever been while Daniel Jones has been there. Kendrick Bourne out of New England, he's going to have up and down games, just, again, a situational guy. James Washington, under Pittsburgh, he was just kind of an okay player. We'll see what happens at Dallas. Again, a lot depends on if Michael Gallup gets hurt or not. If he doesn't get hurt, he's the fourth option in the receiving game, maybe even the fifth if you're including tight ends there. So I don't really love him there. Quez Watkins, the only reason that I put him on this list at all, he's the third wide receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles depth chart. He's going to have some production, but he is the fourth receiving option behind Dallas Goedert. So not a guy that I absolutely love there, especially given how well they ran the ball last year. They're probably going to run it again this year. So he may not see a lot of opportunity. Isaiah McKenzie, number 26, really depends overall. I don't know how I feel about Isaiah. He's a former Georgia guy. He's really a special teamer, but he has a lot of speed, and he made some really big plays for them last year in key moments, so he might get a little opportunity this year. Not a guy I think you need to draft for any reason. And then finally, this one is probably the one that it's a personal feeling. I don't like Cadarius Toney at all. Former Florida player, had a great career there. Had a terrible year with the New York Giants. He's already demanding a trade. He's not getting along with training staff. He doesn't get along with his quarterback. He's going round 8, pick 10 overall. So he's a lot higher than these guys that I'm telling you do not draft. I'm not taking a flyer on him. I don't think you should either. I would stay the heck away from him until he either gets traded and finds a better place to land in, or just see what happens with him. I just am not willing to spend an 8th or 9th round pick over him. I'd rather potentially take my quarterback there or my tight end. I'd rather take a lot of different guys than Cadarius Toney there. Has nothing to do with his potential talent. Has everything to do with his situation and the way he's handled it so far in the league. But again, that's just my thoughts on the wide receivers from the AFC and NFC East. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Is there anybody that I didn't include, or do you think somebody should be higher on my list for some reason? Would love to hear about it. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Consider liking the video and subscribing if you haven't already. And until next time, rise up.